Save the live meeting. Jake, you kind of look like I can only see your eyes. Oh,
Sorry.
all right, we're up live. I can't. Can I see the
Oh, we're
screen?
live right now?
Yeah, we're live, pal.
I bet.
There we go. Yeah, we're live, bud. We are
All
live,
right, let
pal.
me lock in.
Let's give it a minute
Okay.
to get some people in, Brody. Um, Hold on. Here is my phone. We have a new executive producer. We'll get to that in just 1 second. Go to the YouTube. There's a picked off YouTube, and get the link for the thing, and
So
then
we're
to
not even recording the Zoom anymore. It's just
oh, and we need to do that. So, I'll record it. So the people in the YouTube feed, they're going to get a little extra bonus content. This is how I've seen this work at most places. They're
oh, and
going
then
to
you'll
get
start
maybe
recording and
yeah.
upload the audio. Got you.
So and that's when this will officially kick in. So hello, if somebody's already here from the YouTube live, hello. Uh, we're doing this live. This little impromptu live after the post College World Series. Um, yeah, one watching.
Yeah, we wanted it to be.
What are you looking for?
I can see bro's hair off the corner.
No. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to be like that.
View. Hold on once. Yeah. Now click on the YouTube link right here. We are trying to view. Yeah, it's just not for whatever reason. Multi-speaker gallery, maybe? Did that fix anything? We'll see. Hey, Jake, I think there's a 3 second delay, so if you actually say anything bad, we have like 3 seconds to pull the plug and then escape
Just
the country. So,
to just end the live stream.
and just end our, we'll go into hot witness protection. I know a guy. We can just, yes.
We are live. How do you need to put it?
We are live, all caps, exclamation points. Episode 15 of the Picked Off Pod, and then YouTube link, and go put that on Instagram and Facebook. And then once that link gets out, sent out, so I guess people seeing this on the VOD are like, man, I can skip these 5 minutes. No, let's talk for a second. So, little pre-show. Jake, we have a new College World Series champion. What do you think, man? How about those
It
Tigers?
was anticlimactic, to be honest. I think that,
Why's
and
that?
maybe this is throwing shade at Coastal. I mean, I'm not going to say they're a Cinderella team because they're a good team and they proved to be there. But Arkansas versus LSU, that was the championship in my eyes.
I can understand that. Trying to adjust this mic. I I get that, but that's kind of how it was Ole Miss's year when they won it. They had that 3 game set against Arkansas. Basically, you beat
Yeah,
Auburn, and then 3 games. That was the national championship. And Coastal wasn't Cinderella. They were a good team. But yeah, big shout out to those LSU fans. I mean, we bombed Iran, and all they could think about in Louisiana was them
I saw that
Tigers.
clip.
So,
The dude
yeah,
swinging. Yeah,
yes, swinging with the bait. I said that's going to be a meme, and sure enough.
yeah.
Um, and then Cade Anderson, my gosh, game one, dude, he was unhittable, basically. I mean, they got a few hits off of him. They didn't score any runs. Are you
Yeah, he
airplaning it?
is he a sophomore or a junior?
Sophomore,
Sophomore.
sophomore, I
That's
believe.
what I thought. Yeah, he's gonna be disgusting next year. Something about his they were talking about his fastball. He just has like elite spin rate and rise on it. And it just the way he throws it too, I think he hides it very well, short arms it a little bit, or like
Yeah.
comes through in a different way. It looks, they were fooled.
If you watch on UmpCam, which I did for a little bit, like against Louisville and things like that, and they would occasionally show it, yeah, especially with the shadows at certain parts of the day, especially later in the day there. I mean, he hides the ball super well, and everything tunnels
Yeah.
really well. Tunneling is always key. Make the pitches look the same out of your hand, and it certainly did. And And shout out that crowd was electric. That was Baton Rouge North. I mean, when Coastal's head coach, can't think of his name, might want to put that in, got ejected. Oh, and that'll be a big talking point today. That was
Yeah.
really controversial. That was stupid. I'm gonna,
I need to go
if you
watch the
love,
replay of that again because I saw his press conference, but I didn't get to see the replay to like put it side by side. But yeah.
I'm trying to get this mic to adjust to where you can actually see my mouth. There we go. We got like, see, look what having a producer. I've got things on the screen thanks to AirPlay and our great new producer here. We're going to introduce in a minute when we officially kick this off. And I've got Kevin Schnall. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's on TV. I can just look up.
Or you're like Joe Rogan. You're like, Jamie, pull that shit up.
Yes, Jamie, pull it. That's on the YouTube. We can't say it on the Spotify and the Apple, but hey, yeah, you get a little four-letter words here on the YouTube.
Oh wow, we're demonetized. It's not like we were
Yep,
monetized.
no, it's not like we were monetized before. It's okay.
Right.
We're golden. Okay, if you put it out on everything, Brody, we good?
I can see a
You're
little
just looking at.
reflection.
Yeah, I'm going through Instagram.
You're going through Instagram. Brody is looking up Insta thoughts while I am. You're not Insta thoughts. He is legit going through somebody's Instagram right now. He is pulling through Instagram.
I can see it in the top right. There's a reflection on your screen, and I can see it like constantly.
Yes, you get. Yeah, in the back cage right
Yeah,
there.
you see that?
About the thing with Cattell Marte.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of sad, but we can talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
And then
unfiltered
Jake, can you
content,
go pull up the Google Doc real quick so you can see all the notes?
right? Yo,
I think this should be easy for you to even go along beat by beat because I think you've at least heard something. I mean, you
yeah,
don't
I
live under
watched
a
a little
rock.
bit of I watched the Arkansas LSU game.
Yeah, you might want to be careful with that, Brody, because you can see a reflection like right there in the top of the screen. You'd be like Stephen A. Smith. Oh my gosh. Okay, does anyone have any questions to me with what the? All right, hey, we are live, so just knock it off. Knock it off. We're live, pal. As Bill O'Reilly said, F it, we'll do it live. We'll do it live. You ever seen that clip Inside Edition when he gets mad at the teleprompter?
I don't think so. No.
It's completely going off the rails already. Love it. Wonderful.
Nah, this is good content.
This is peak pod. Peak pod. Brody, has everything been out on social media? We are good. All right, so we're official. Let's go live. Are you ready, Jake?
Yep.
1 second. All right. Picked Off Podcast for Apple and Spotify. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Picked Off Baseball Podcast. I am your host, Braden Neal, alongside my most favorite co-host, Jake Keating. And today, there's a new champion in college baseball. Baton Rouge North it was, as the LSU Tigers secure their 8th national championship with Coach Jay Johnson. They won that over the weekend, and there's a whole lot more to talk about with this tournament and everything that happened at Omaha. We are live today on the Picked Off Podcast YouTube channel. As those who, if you go on the Picked Off Podcast YouTube channel, you get a little pre-show there. We got a whole lot in store today. Talk about in the College World Series. We're also going to talk about some MLB stuff as we are now officially in the offseason with college baseball. So you'll see us still talk about college baseball, transfer portal, news of that nature. You're also going to see a little bit more interviews with certain people as we have more time to cover it. But we're going to pivot more into the MLB space. So today we're going to do a little bit of that. But before we do, Jake, if you don't mind, tell them where they can find all the previous episodes.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. I forgot my how I go about this. But if you missed the last podcast, you can find it under this one. And if you want to follow us on Instagram and X, you can do that at Picked Off Media.
You can, and also on Facebook as well. Forgot to mention that we also have a Facebook
okay.
now. We have Facebook and YouTube, and of course, obviously, we're live at today on YouTube. So at Picked Off Podcast, and then of course on Facebook at Picked Off Media, same as the others. And maybe a TikTok coming soon. Maybe we've been saying that forever, but we'll figure it out. But yeah, so we are live today, and before we get one last thing before we get into the episode. So, and if you've been paying attention to any of the social medias, you'll have seen the graphics that we have now that we produced for LSU winning the national title. Those were in thanks to a very special new executive producer. He's sitting here behind the camera. Really cool guy. My brother Brody Neal. So we're gonna give him a big shout out. He's now a member of the team. So all those cool graphics you see on the Picked Off podcast, Instagram, Picked Off Media, wherever you see it, those were produced by him. He also is now, for those of you a fan of that Joe Rogan podcast, I've heard it's cool or something. I heard a lot of people listen to it. He's going to be like Jamie. I have a TV up here, so he's going to be kind of producing us as we go and keeping these notes in check. Which Jake, I
Maybe
hope
pull
you
it up.
got the. Yeah, Jamie, pull it up. It won't be Jamie; it'll be Brody. Pull it up. But so he's in here. We're doing this. Jake, you get the notes up and everything.
Yep.
All right, so let's jump straight into it. The LSU Tigers, like we said at the beginning of the show, are your 2025 national champions. They would beat Coastal Carolina 2-0 in the series as Coastal would advance undefeated on a 26-game winning streak. That would get cracked by Cade Anderson on Friday night, or excuse me, on Saturday. And then they would mount a little bit of a comeback, but unfortunately they couldn't quite do it as LSU wins both of those games 5-3. So we're going to dive into those games in depth. Let me pull up these notes, but we're going to dive into these games a little bit more in depth. But first, Jake, what are your overall thoughts on the World Series as a whole?
From what I watched of it, I felt like the score was close, but it just felt like LSU. It was LSU's game the whole way. You know,
Right.
um, LSU was the better team. They obviously game one have an MLB ready pitcher. I mean, you heard Jay Johnson in the interview. He's probably one of the most MLB ready pitchers out there right now. He wasn't being stopped, man. And I'm surprised
No.
LSU didn't score more runs. I know they had a good pitcher going. Coastal did. But again, it felt kind of one-sided, even though the scores didn't reflect that.
So just to sort of reflect what Cade Anderson did, LSU's ace, Cade Anderson, well, he delivered a complete game shutout, allowing just 3 hits, 5 walks, and striking out 10 over 130 pitches. A performance not seen in the College World Series final since 2018. Um, he was electric. He probably was the most electric pitching performance that week, which is something I forgot to put in the notes, but I remember all of it because I watched every single pitch. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But he was outstanding. I mean, probably your best performance in a final setting, maybe since Skeens. And I mean, he's putting up close. I mean, not quite to Paul Skeens' level, but he's putting up numbers quite close to it. He was electric. If you watched it on UmpCam or like saw any of those clips, you saw how well the fastball was tunneling. You saw that he was. I mean, hitters could not see it, especially at his arm angle. And I mean, the shadows and everything was playing a factor. But he also had really good defensive play behind him. Braswell, who is a story in and of its own, a guy who'd been slumping all year. Sure, he may have been slumping at the plate. I think hitting like 190. But he was really good defensively, made some very good defensive plays, and Coastal was just not ready. That environment was electric, and they had a good guy, they had a good pitcher on the mound too, one of their aces. But and again, this Coast Carolina team was very formidable. They were no Cinderella, but Cade Anderson, nobody was beating him that night, and
Yeah.
LSU got him 1-0, and they came rolling into Sunday.
Can I ask you a question real quick? So,
Absolutely,
Cade Anderson, you said talk about how good he is at tunneling, and he has he has four pitches: fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. His slider kind of comes in at more of, like a left to right angle, and then his
correct.
curveball is more 12 to 6. Does he change his arm angle for that curveball, that slower looping curveball?
So, typically speaking, no. That's more influenced by your grip. You want your arm angle and stuff, especially to stay the same because you want
Yeah.
that's what sort of creates that tunneling. But often, what creates the 12 to 6 motion on a curveball is exactly because sliders and curveballs they move differently. You throw them very much differently. With a curveball, you're going to get want to get more of that topspin, more backspin on the ball. With a slider, you're not going to want to get as much, and you want to maybe get more supination or sideways rotation. Or
So
if
it's
you
more
throw
of
that
like a
gyrus,
this. It's more of a this kind of
Yes.
motion on that.
Or, I mean, I have balls behind me, but can't grab them right now. I could show the camera. If you want, actually, you know what? Can you grab that? I'll show the camera. So, so for his slider, there you go. Official SEC baseball here. So, for a slider, you're looking at something more along the lines of, let's see, this. You want to get more on the middle finger, and you want to kind of get that. Maybe for him not there because it's more of a sweeper, but more side rotation, and he might come at it kind of. Can't really see this, but get more of this around it with the wrist. Whereas a curveball, you're really kind of over the top, and you're just like you want the ball to just spin over and over and over. You get a lot of that really high spin rate, which is going to create a much slower movement and a much more up and down movement. So you're not going to get as much of that late movement. It's going to kind of pronate, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. It just yeah, sometimes it feels like he does change he does raise his arm angle up a little bit on that
Yeah.
curveball, but it
Well,
could just be an optical illusion. I don't know.
it's also because why a lot of guys like Tyler Glass now does this a lot, where he has a fastball and a curveball. A curveball, I don't know that he's necessarily raising his arm angle. What it does is a curveball tunnels well with a fastball because it pops out of your hand super high,
Yeah.
similar to that of a fastball. So it might pop out up here, whereas the slider you don't see it because it's more kind of around. If you
Keeps
kind
the
of see
same
what I'm
plane
doing.
as the fastball. Oh, that makes
Yes.
the way you explain that makes a
Or
lot more sense.
or it's going to, pop out of the hand. It's generally just a little bit higher, but close enough to the fastball. It's going to stay on plane more with the fastball.
Yeah. And it's slower, so it appears like it starts higher and
Yes,
drops lower. Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
And the more spin creates that, etc. So that's why. Hopefully that made sense.
It
Um,
does.
kind of that was a little impromptu there, but hey, we'll work it. So yeah, that's why I think he was really effective. And his changeup, I cannot recall his changeup exactly off the top, but I think it's pretty much your traditional changeup, except he kind of kept his. I don't think he was throwing quite a kick change, which I want to get the kick change in a second. A kick change is a more modern changeup that guys are throwing. They want to get their knuckles more apart. This is not the exact same action. Don't take the same action for granted. And you're really just trying to throw it like your fastball, and that thing's just going straight down. Like it's just completely over the top and just throw it as hard as you can, basically, and it just falls. And it does what it does. You want to keep your sort of, if you can see my hand, if you're watching this on YouTube, I have a ball. If you're listening to this, I have a ball in my hand. We're sort of demonstrating the grip. But you kind of keep your knuckles more apart and just sort of throw it more like your fastball. And I think that's what he has, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, that was that. So he had some stuff that really tunnel well with the fastball, and he kind of really changed speeds on you. So did the guy from Coastal Carolina both days. They had like a 20-mile-an-hour difference on their fastball and curveball.
Yeah.
So he was really good in that. So LSU gets the win. Let's get on to game two really quickly because there's a lot to talk about here. So there was a little controversy in the very first inning of this game, as both head coach of Coastal Carolina, Kevin Schnall, and the first base coach, whose name is escaping me, were both ejected in the very first inning. This was one of the most wild things I've ever seen. One second. So, Jake, did you see any of this?
I did not know.
So, essentially, what happens, and to be honest, I still don't really understand what happened, was the nothing was happening. This was in the bottom of the first inning. LSU's the plate. Um, or no, sorry, coach was the plate. Matt Schilling was the first base coach. Thanks, Brody. Matt Schilling was the first base coach
Was
for
he a
Coastal there.
was he a former MLB player? No, it was Kurt
You're thinking
Schilling.
of Kirk Schilling.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
no.
yeah. That's what it was.
Um, so yeah, that's something for later. A little note for later up there. So so basically, it's unclear, but Schnall sort of comes out and he's really mad about something. And the stadium is very loud. There's a ton of LSU fans in attendance. And he's kind of yelling at the umpire, like, what? What are you saying? What do you do? Like, what are you warning me for? What? I can't hear you. And then he says something like he does this, like he's thrown three pitches or two pitches or something, and does this. And next thing you know, in the bottom of the first inning, Um, Home plate umpire ejects Kevin Schnall in the bottom of the first inning in Game 2 of the Men's College World Series Finals without really a warning. Or at least it wasn't a clear one. And then, in the fracas, he then comes out. This is very important. He comes out and continues to argue because he's like, "Hey, why the hell did you throw me out?" Very valid. Um, and in the sort of disarray, all three umpires come up first base, third base, and so then the first base coach starts talking to the home plate umpire, and Matt Schilling. He then starts talking to the home plate umpire, and then the first base umpire intervenes. At one point, I believe the first base umpire fell completely over, and it like he shoved him. And Kevin Schnall with the quote of the century, "I'm not responsible for a grown man's athleticism," quote of the year. And he falls over. It's a clown show. You hear LSU chants everywhere you go. And the next thing you know, I believe it was the first base umpire ejects not Kevin Shaw, ejects Matt Schilling from the game. So they lose both their first base coach and their head coach in the bottom of the first inning. Then a little bit later on, about 2 or 3 innings in, it's made clear, and still to this day, to my knowledge. So college baseball, a little bit of back context, they did away with the rule where if you suspended more than once in a year, you got a 2 game suspension. Because if you remember last year, Eric Backage suffered that same suspension last year and had to sit out the first 2 games of this season. Well, they did away with that one, except for the fact of excessive arguing. If it's seen that you're ejected and then do excessive arguing afterwards after you're told to go back, and that's key, if you're told to go back more than once, then you get a 2 game suspension. So basically, they said that Kevin Schnall argued excessively after he was told to go back, and it's unclear if there was a clear sign, but basically, if they would have made it to a game 3, which they did not, that he would have been suspended for that game, and would have been suspended for, I guess, the first game of next year,
Yeah, to
including,
start the season, he's suspended. That's absurd.
yeah, it's really absurd. There's a little issue with the headphones here. Um, but yeah, so that was a cluster, to say the least. But anyway, sorry, having a little connection issue with the headphones. Hopefully, it's not offering any feedback. Um, but just gonna take these off. So there was that. Like I said, so stats for this game. So here's how it went. Let me pull these up. So game 2, LSU would win this one 5-1. Um,
3, right?
five, yes, 5-3. It was 5-1 for most of the game. Coastal would get some late home runs there to get it to 5-3, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. So just going back, so Coastal Carolina struck first, 1-0 in the second inning. Yeah, it was in the second inning. So it was immediately after these ejections. Sorry, trying to get my notes together and my brain together. It's been wild. This was a wild game. It's been a wild week. So immediately after this, um, they would hit a solo home run to go up 1-0. Okay, and then in the they would LSU would score 4 in the fourth inning and sort of come unglued. They would take the lead 5-1 after tying it, I believe, in the third or second. And so after that, in the seventh inning, Coach Carolina narrowed the gap with a 2-run rally, including a hit by pitch controversy. There was a lot of controversy. There was a lot of ump shows in this game. With allegedly, did he lean into it? Did he not? The umpires were all over this, baby. Hey, they were on ABC. This one was on ABC, broadcasted nationally. And hey, we're gonna get our camera time. So there was that controversy in the seventh. But they narrowed the gap. But LSU turned it over to Chase Shores, who was hitting like 102, 103. He was
Sophomore.
yes, a sophomore hitting 102, 103. And he was absolutely electric. He struck out over 2 innings. He struck out 4 batters and shut them down completely to close out the game to get LSU its eighth national championship and second under Coach Jay Johnson in just 4 years, I believe.
He's only been here 4 years.
Three.
So
Two and
his
3 years.
first year was the year that they won with Paul Skeens.
No, bro. His first year was 22.
Okay.
He is that I think it's great. Yes, his first year was 22. And then he won it in 23 the year after Ole Miss did. And then he won it last year. Had a weird season. Is it two or three?
His third year. He was
His third. Yes, his third year.
Was the year Ole Miss won it, 2022.
Yes, that's what I thought. Because he beat Ole Miss while he
Oh,
was at
this
Arizona.
would have been his fourth year.
No, if 2022 to 2025.
Right, but it's the 2022 season, the 2023 season,
It's his
2024
Fourth
season,
season.
and
But it's his
2025.
second national championship in 3 seasons.
Correct. Yes. My apologies. It's been a long week. Jake and I have both been sick. Thank God Brody's here. People like, man, they don't know what they're watching. No, I do. It's just, it's if you know, you know. But so yes, it's 2 and 3 seasons. Fourth year for Jay Johnson. He led Arizona to a ton of success, beating Ole Miss to get to Omaha in a super regional in 21. He was very successful there in just a very short time. He is almost Bertman-esque, which well, it's hard to say Bertman-esque. It's hard to say because LSU was the team of the '90s with Skip Bertman. Bertman was there for a very long time. Hell, he was even the athletic director after the thing ended. But he is doing better than Paul Maneri did so far. Paul Maneri got a championship in '09, but he was successful with LSU. But 2 national championships in 3 years in an era in a decade where it's very hard to replicate success with the transfer portal and everything else. He has done a tremendous job of keeping talent and getting talent out of the portal. And this team was a very heavy portal team, and he did a very good job of getting talent from the portal and assembling a good group and team together. And it showed, and it really works well in that Baton Rouge area where they care about baseball. And it was very clear and evident. So Jay Johnson, a great job there. And the LSU Tigers are national champions.
Yep. And honestly, I think we could talk more about the coach, getting ejected and how I think that's unfair, but I think we should go into the arc. In my opinion, what's the actual, what the actual finals were, and that was Arkansas versus LSU.
Again, this is why we're having memory issues. 'Cause there's so much to talk about. I want to back up just a second, actually, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Skip to one of the previous Arkansas games, that being an elimination game against Cinderella. They're here on my T-shirt. If you can watch in the YouTube feed, or the Spotify. I think this video will be up for Spotify too. So if we can get it to work this week, so Murray State, they unfortunately would lose their first game to UCLA, and then they would face Arkansas, and they would go up against pitcher Gage Wood. And Gage Wood, he just did against a really good offense. This Murray State team, we talked about them. Cinderella, they're awesome. They dominated Ole Miss's pitching. They hit really well. They hit really well against Duke. All this. So what do they do against Arkansas? Well, Gage Wood goes strikes out 19 over 119 pitches and throws a no-hitter. The third in men's college World Series history. He is a hit batter in the 9th inning. 8th. Yes, that was the 8th inning. Sorry. Thanks. The 8th inning, a hit batter with a slider inside just kind of got it on the back of his foot. Just barely hit him. From a perfect game. Struck out 19 in 119 pitches, which in today's climate is unheard of. We talked about Cade Anderson. He won a complete game with 130.
Wow.
And didn't throw a no-hitter. Against an offense that was insane. We talked about their stats, or I did with Mitch Morrell. If you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to it. But we talked about their offense and how much of these insane numbers they put up. Their 3-hole guy is hitting like 350.
Their first 3 guys are hitting.
Jonathan Hogarth was phenomenal all year. Their starting lineup averaged it was I mean, I think their collective team batting average was like 330. We're gonna get
Yeah.
those stats pulled up here, but like they were phenomenal. And Gage Wood, he had struggled a bit throughout the year, but he was still pretty good. I believe had around a 4 ERA, which
Well, I
is
think he was injured. Pretty sure he had a shoulder
yes,
injury.
he had a shoulder injury, and then I mean, like when he came back, you're still finding. That's what I meant. Sorry, thank you. Still finding the feel for it. In this game, he completely had the feel for it. You could see it in his eyes. It's the thing I love about pitching, and I could go on for days about it. But when a guy has that kind of day, you can see it. And the look in his eyes, he was ready to go. Wasn't anybody taking him out of that game, nor were they thinking about it.
Right.
Um, and he was getting his team, giving his team another chance. And my gosh, it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful performance. Struck out 19. I mean, it looked like he was playing on beginner if you ever played any with the show. Um, and again, this is nothing against Murray State. My hat's off to them. I said that last week. I think it's wonderful. I wish they could have got a game against UCLA. Like I wish I wish they could have made a deep run. They have nothing to be ashamed of. Um, they so really happy for that group of guys. And Matt Parento, shout out to him, friend of mine, former Ole Miss pitcher who's there. Really, really successful story and something that we should really all strive for. Not just in baseball, but in life. A team that has little to nothing, but they have a lot of heart and really good brotherhood and really good friendship, and you could see that. And they made a deep run, but Gage Wood, he was historic. And one of my favorite things of the entire World Series, there was a lot. One of my favorite things is this man just throws a no hitter. They go to interview him, and they go, "What's on your mind right now?" And the first thing he says is, "I shouldn't have hit that batter." The first thing this man just threw a no hitter in the College World Series, and the first thing on his mind is, "Man, I shouldn't hit that batter."
Well, do you remember he hit another batter, but the dude
And
leaned
they
into it?
overturned it. Yes, that was a
Could you
big pivotal
imagine
moment.
though? Could you imagine if it went down, if it came down to that? The crowd
Oh
would have
yeah,
been booing that guy like crazy.
I would have. Here's what you do: you overturn that call. Like if it come down to that, he because he did lean into it. He did.
Yeah, but just imagine how much like crazier it would have been if that was almost what broke up his perfect game, but he still got a perfect game, you know.
His
It's
name is
worth it.
escaping me. And bro, you don't have to pull this up, but his name is escaping me. But it reminds me. Remember the Detroit Tigers pitcher who almost had a perfect game,
Yep.
and the guy was clearly out at first on like the first baseman's off the bag, and he kind of, I think he ran over, PFP ran over, or maybe flipped it to first baseman, and the umpire I could not think of his name.
The pitcher was like Galarraga or something
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
Galarraga.
Armando.
Armando Galarraga. And I believe Joe West was at first. I could
Yep.
be wrong on that. But I believe Joe West, old Joe, was at first. And
Wait, Joe
he,
West or like Jim Joyce, or does that sound right?
it was either Joe West or Jim Joyce.
Yeah.
It was Jim Joyce because doesn't Jim have the giant mustache that, yeah. So Jim Joyce. And this is before replay, right before instant replay was a thing. So whatever call was call. And he was out, and they called him safe, breaking up the perfect game. And it's something the umpire profusely apologized to Galarraga. I mean, I think they're friends now, which is cool. But you know, really sad moment. Thank God for replay now. But I mean, at least it didn't have to come down to a replay decision review and wherever they're doing these replays at for the NCAA tournament. Um, and he had already hit the guy. I really wish he wouldn't have hit the guy because I mean, it was a back foot slider. When it was a back foot slider, it just barely hit him. Once it hit the dirt and then hit his foot, but it was close enough. But it just tapped the back of his foot, and it was running on fumes. It is what it is. But he throws a no hitter. Congratulations to Gage Wood, who was, in my opinion, that was the performance of the tournament. It might have been the performance of the season. It was phenomenal. If you haven't watched it, go back and find. I'm sure there's some like Wheels has got some highlights up. I'm sure. Go watch like the abbreviated game or something with with no timeouts or whatever. Go find that and just go watch his pitching performance. It was effortless. It was beautiful. Really good mechanics. Really strong lower half, and they talked about that early on. Um, really good mechanics, and he stayed on all game. Slider was working really well for him. His fastball, his velo was, I mean, I think it was 97, 98 most of the time.
90, yeah, he was like 95 to 97 pretty much.
Yes, and I mean he was still ramping it up there even in the ninth inning, in a really hot day. So just I know we're going on about it, but it was a very very special performance. Um, so that was there, and then so you get to where Arkansas and LSU to go to the finals. Arkansas coming to the losers bracket has to beat LSU twice. To get there. They have to force a game seven, essentially. Think of it like two regionals, so they have to come back and beat LSU twice, which is going to be a hard task. But we've talked about Arkansas before, and I know there's some Ole Miss fans who listen to this podcast. The hatred for Arkansas, it's understandable. Dave Van Horn has been at Arkansas since 2006. Sorry. Dave Van Horn has been at Arkansas since 2006. He has come a Dylan DeLucia masterpiece and an Ole Miss juggernaut team away from winning that in 22. If Dylan DeLucia doesn't have that kind of performance, Ole Miss doesn't win it. Whoever won that series in 22 was going to win the World Series, and nobody was stopping Ole Miss, even though they did manage to beat that team a game. But Dylan DeLucia was unstoppable. You have that. And then in 2018, you have an Oregon State team with Adley Rutschman. You're in game two. You're a out away. And then foul territory on the first base side. The first baseman drops it. It goes through his glove, essentially. And from winning a national championship, you're right there. And you lose. I don't know how you sleep at night. But fast forward. 2025 College World Series. You're up on this LSU team 5-. Was it not? Let's see. I'm going to make sure I get this correct.
What game are you talking about?
This was the game LSU and Arkansas.
The first or second game they played?
They only played one. This was a
No, they played them twice. LSU beat Arkansas twice.
yes. No, Arkansas had to beat LSU twice to get in.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying though. But LSU beat them twice. LSU beat Arkansas, then Arkansas had to play Murray State, and then they played each other
Yes,
again.
correct. Sorry, my bad. They did face off in the first game of the bracket. Again, it feels like 20 years ago. People like,
Yeah.
man, I watched the whole thing. I actually probably watched more than Jake did, and that's not me. Just we
No, you
both were
definitely
busy.
did.
Yeah, we both got sick. That's why there was no episode last week. But it was 5-2 in the ninth inning. They're up 3 runs. LSU gets some people on. Believe they
5-3 in the ninth.
5-3. It was 5-2, and then LSU scored one. It was 5-3. They have a runner on first and let's see, was it first and second? First and second,
Yeah.
and so a ball is hit to Golden Spikes Award winner, which we'll get into that, Wahiwa Aloy. The Bash brothers, the whole deal, probably the best shortstop or one of the best shortstops in the country all season. Hit to him right there. You're thinking, boom, double play. Here we go. Arkansas is going to Arkansas is going to force a game 7 against LSU. He instead of going for the double play to go to your second baseman, instead of going there and going to first and it being over, he throws to third base instinctively, like immediately. Gets the lead runner, but, you're still 2 outs, but hey, you got the lead runner, run scored. It is what it is. All right, get the last guy out. Really should have gotten that double play. I don't understand why he didn't, but heat of the moment, he really should have made that play. Really, it wasn't even his momentum was taking him one way.
It was maybe a step, maybe taking him a step that way, but
maybe. But from what I could see, and you'll know this, and from the very basic levels when they first start teaching you defensive baseball as a kid, his frame was set. He was behind the baseball, like he wasn't charging it. He was perfectly set and ready to make it throw. His feet were there. Throws to third, run scores to get the lead runner, 2 outs. Okay, here we go. And then you cannot make this up. Don't know who hit it, but hit a line drive to left field. Left field. A real sinking line drive. Makes a play at it. Arkansas left fielder makes a play at it, but it kind of is sinking at him, and a lot of people didn't see it. Why didn't he make that play? He should have made it. The ball was a lot harder to that play is a lot harder than making people think it is. Hits off his
Absolutely.
glove, careens into basically, foul territory there in the corner. Um, 2 run score or 2 run score to tie the game, and they were literally an out away again. And then Jared Jones hits a yeah 2 run scored. So I guess that might have been 5. Yeah, it was tied. So 5-5. Jared Jones hits a blooper into left. Wasn't a line drive. Well, I was like, no, it wasn't a blooper, but it was. Point
I
was,
think
it
it
was
should have been
hit.
caught, but again, that's a play where that's a hit compared to the two other, and even the error at the beginning of the game. The first
Yeah,
baseman made an error beginning of the
w-
game.
I'll get there. So, but basically, LSU walks it off and sends Arkansas home again and out away. And oh my gosh, Dave Van Horn, like buddy, um, I respect Dave Van Horn. Like, talk about teams that coaches that deserve a national title. I hate the word deserve, but talk about teams that deserve a national title. As much as Ole Miss fans will hate to admit it, that probably not the fan base because they're a little rude, but school cares about baseball and they kind of deserve one. Ole Miss deserved one. Mississippi State deserved one. LSU deserves one. Vandy deserves one. Tennessee didn't deserve one. I'm sorry, you haven't been there that
Yeah, they
long.
did.
Okay, all right, here we go. So, but you come up short again. Um, and I'll be honest, I was heartbroken for that left fielder. I was heartbroken for Wahiwa. Again, I don't think the play of the game, and you know what? Let's debate that really quick before we move on to other topics. What play should have been made? What play
Play it,
lost in the game?
play at first base. The first baseman should have went to first. Second baseman should have made the play.
Yes,
And then
I agree.
I mean, the double play should have been made. I think that the left fielder, again, like the way you said it, and I saw this. I think it was in the championship game. A ball was smoked to left field. Coastal Carolina smoked it, and it went over the head of the left fielder. And I was talking to my was my dad. I was like, this is why that play that the Arkansas player didn't make is so hard because the balls hit the same speed, right? That
It
ball's
hit
hit with
hard.
backspin. That
Yes,
ball's hit with backspin, and one is hit with backspin, one's hit with topspin. The one with topspin barrels downwards, right? And so that's what he thought right off the bat.
right.
It's over his head, but then it starts
Yes,
barreling down, and he slips. It's a hard
yes.
play.
And the ball is sinking at him, so he has to kind of like quasi dive, and he kind of gets the glove up, and it just kind of bounces or kind of just hits off the top of his glove. Like if he's this is the part of his glove. If you're watching this on video, he kind of hits him right here and just boom careens. And I mean that play is really hard to make. The bottom line is, well, his feet were set, his hips were set. He was behind the ball, boom, perfect, finish second, make the first in the game. You don't. I get. You're talking get the lead runner. There's one out, and when
Yeah,
you're up, if you're down 5-4, maybe. And even then, I don't think so. Or you got 2 outs on, or maybe no outs. No outs is the key there. No outs, sure. If you want to try to get the lead runner, I get it. There's one out. And yes, they were one of the best defensive teams all season. They had like the fewest errors in the country.
yep.
Really,
Behind
really good
UCLA, I
defensive
think.
teams. Tied with UCLA, yeah. UCLA, another really good defensive team. California teams. They were really good defensively. Oh, you're good. They were really good defensively, and you know that's just a mistake that you really can't make. And I do feel for it. And people, like, man, he choked. They choked. How could he do it? He's a what? He's a junior, 20-year-old, 21-year-old kid.
Yep.
I mean, I'm a 20, almost 21-year-old. So are you. Look, we can both admit we're not fully developed in life, and I'm sure. And even though he's a tremendous shortstop, you're going to make those laps sometimes. I just hate
Absolutely.
for him that happened in that space, in that moment.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I really hate that for him.
This,
But yeah, Arkansas yet again. Some would say we are Arkansas. Um, they do it again. If you're an Arkansas fan, we're not sponsored by like BetterHelp or something, but I'm sure it's out there if you need it. Um, you probably will need therapy. I would contact the SEC offices for that. Hopefully, you can get some. But because you're not going to get any better in football season. But anyway, um, so I don't feel bad for Arkansas fans, but I do feel bad for Dave Van Horn. A little bit, as somebody who really respects the man. Um, so yeah, there's that. LSU goes on, they win the whole thing. That was that was something. Baseball is a wild, wild, vindictive sport.
Yeah, I feel terrible for that left fielder.
I
It's just
I do too. Yeah, I feel really bad for him.
that's going to be the face of it, that meltdown inning. You
Oh,
know,
memes. The memes
Even
are already
Aloys
there.
play it. Real baseball fans and people who really understand baseball will will know that, but like casual fans are just going to look at the guy who dropped the ball, and and that's what gets the brunt of the hate. And I just hate it for that guy. But his team supported him. Like you saw, there were, you know, their teammates were on the bench with him, and so it's. I hope that doesn't
Trying
hinder
and
his
people
confidence.
are making memes and I mean it was and it's the culture we're in and I'm not gonna get mad at people for making memes. I just really feel bad for them. But I mean it is what it is. So and that was that. The College World Series very eventful. There was even more we really don't have time to get into and I can't recount everything. But just a really fun World Series and something to be honest I was kind of I'm not really thrilled with these teams. I hope Murray State gets far, but two SEC teams, and there's like just kind of all over the place. Coastal was good, and I was intrigued by that, but there wasn't a lot like jumping off the page at me. And this to me was a very, very good College World Series.
Yeah, I'd say so. Um, and again, what it just seems like it's a common trend that other than maybe, I don't know, because when LSU won in 23, it was against Florida, right?
Right.
That was a really good series, but you get some really good games, like the game before the finals. Like LSU Wake Forest, in my opinion, the best college game of all time. We could
Yeah.
debate that, but that was, in my opinion, the best game ever. Um, and then you get the game LSU Arkansas, and you get what was the year before, Tennessee Florida State. That was an incredible one. Um, so it's just, I don't know. This was a very good finals game, but comparing it to the last few, I think it comes in a little lower.
I
That's
see what you're saying because there wasn't as much drama. Even Ole Miss, Oklahoma, which to me was an Ole Miss coronation. At least game two was very eventful. This
yeah.
one, I mean, though it had plenty of drama, you just kind of knew. But talking about Coastal for just a second, and we'll get off this. My point with this, and we didn't have a show last week because of circumstances, but my thing was, I said this going in: if LSU wins game one, they're winning the entire thing. If Coastal wins game one, I think they're winning it. I think it will go to a game three, but they'll win it. Just because you can't ride that sort of momentum and then, okay, this is your last full bit of competition, this is the finals, this is it. And I think mentally, if you lose game one, and let's not make any mistake about it, there were some good Coastal fans there. That was Baton Rouge North. They literally had a Mardi Gras tiger going down the street all week. They ran away with the Rocco's Jello Shot Challenge, the real national championship. Um. Oh, I'll get okay. I'll talk about that in a second. So, little note on the TV. So, uh, Jamie's great. No, Brody, I'm just kidding, Brody. So, like I was saying, so you have they ran away with that. There's thousands. I mean, it was Baton Rouge North, like I said, and you cannot. And Coastal's not used to that. Let's just be honest. You're not dealing with that in the Sun Belt. You haven't. You in Auburn was an environment, but it's still not Alex Box, and not Alex
Yeah.
Box with 20 something thousand people and screaming. I mean, there were 100 issues with PitchCom game two for Coastal's pitcher. He could not hear his PitchCom. There were technical issues, but I really think it was just he couldn't hear himself over the crowd, and all that momentum, the energy kind of goes out a little bit, and those LSU fans get rowdier, and then LSU starts to believe because for a second that Coastal team looked unbeatable. Um, I can see where this is going because they're not going to be able to deal with the environment. That environment's going to really frazzle them if they can weather the storm game one and beat that LSU team. Then they get more confidence, and you could, even if they lose game two, get to a game three, and Coastal could win that. But if LSU wins game one with the environment and all the circumstances, LSU's pitching, especially after they give you a performance like they do with Cade Anderson, you don't use your bullpen. They both had some adequate rest, but they'd still had 2 days of rest. Rain delay kind of messed some things up. They had, LSU did, I believe, against UCLA, but they had adequate rest. The place was packed. It was LSU territory. LSU has done this before. They've been there, and with respect to Coastal, they have one title, but they're not LSU.
Yep.
Um, LSU is, in my opinion, USC's last national championship, even though they have the most, it was 1998. LSU has been dominant in this century. The 90s and the 2000s, 2010s, some would say, and now the 2020s, they are the team in college baseball.
Yep.
Um,
I
and
would say
you
so too.
and they were made for that moment, and Jay Johnson's made for that moment, and it showed on those two games on Saturday and Sunday, and LSU does what it does. Another title in Tiger Town, and I'm sure they'll put that big billboard in right field. That isn't just made with made up numbers. It's a bunch of national championships, and they're going to add one more to the tally. Therefore,
Yep.
the LSU Tigers.
And what's his name gets two of them. Jared Jones.
Jared Jones. I love Jared Jones. Man can hit. The
Yeah.
bear. He can.
I'm still wondering why they pitched to him in that Arkansas game, but who knows?
Speaking, I just want to give a quick shout out. Got this little note on the board. Speaking of people who can hit, Kemp Alderman, friend of mine, friend of the show. Hopefully, we'll get him to be interviewed on here pretty soon. Double A for the Pensacola Blue Wahos, and in the Miami Marlin system. He hit a bomb as we're sitting here talking about this. He hit a bomb for the Wahoos. He is absolutely raking in Double A Southland Sutherland, however you say it. He was Player of the Week there a couple weeks ago. He's tearing it up. I think the highest batting average on the team. Exit velocity is insane. I went and saw him in Huntsville play against the Rocket City Trash Pandas. Wonderful name, by the way. Now that we're pretty much in the off season, that might be something we do. Let's go through minor league baseball teams and rank names. That'd be great. But he's raking. He hit a big homer, so congrats to Kemp. Big Kemp hitting another one and doing what he does. So good for him. He hit a bomb there, so that's cool. Okay, Jack. So we're now basically in the full swing of MLB. If we're gonna have some other things. We're gonna have some interviews and things, but we're now the only baseball really left right now is the MLB, and there were some things that went down over the last 2 weeks. Let's get to the first one, Jake. You want to do this? Let's see. Can you see the notes?
I'll look him up. Hold
Um, so Boston, we have a problem. The
on.
Reds.
Outfield Devers. Oh man.
Oh man, so the Boston Red Sox trade Rafael Devers, a man who just a couple of years ago they had signed to a big deal, and really, what to be honest, is a reactionary deal after losing two of their best in Xander Bogaerts, which in hindsight was probably worth it. And then they lost another one in Mookie Betts, trading him to Los Angeles. But he and then see like the Red Sox, you're kind of the only hope you've got left. Well, hey, we got Rafi. Rafi's still there from that young 2018 core. They haven't gave him away yet. And what do the Red Sox do? They trade Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants for Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, whose name I've heard. I don't know who Kyle Harrison is. James Tips III and Jose Bello. Um, Basically they're rebuilding again. But if you're a Red Sox fan, I'm sorry. That sucks for you. I mean, like it's that really sucks because they, hey, we're gonna suck for a while, the whole rebuild, and then it's kind of going weird with Alex Cora, and will he, won't he be fired, and the Netflix series, and then Tristan Casas gets hurt, and then you have this whole thing. Well, hey, we still got Rafi, and then they trade Rafael to the San Francisco Giants. And then you have the big controversy with will he, won't he play third? Rafi, very vocal in English, saying, I'm not going to play first after they moved him to DH because he really
Yeah.
originally didn't want to DH.
So then they're paying like 300 mil for a DH, and that's like so you can
Yes,
understand a little bit
but
from
you can
the Red Sox
understand it.
position.
You can understand it, but at the same time, you kind of some would argue he's still putting up numbers that are well worth his contract. Um,
Yeah.
you really need that piece to sort of build around. And
The
if you're a Red
fans
Sox
too.
fan,
You know what I mean?
yes, that's the point. The fans are like, "Hey, cool, I know we're rebuilding, but where's the piece at?" Like,
Yeah.
you still need a piece. And if you're the Red Sox, yeah, the farm system is okay. Roman Anthony, former Ole Miss commit who didn't make it, he just made his way up. I mean, it's hard to play in Boston, um, and they've sucked for a while, and they're as of right now continuing to suck, I guess. I mean, there's no hope. You thought you were building something. You get Vaughn Grisham from the Braves last year, a good prospect. You know, you get Tristan Casas, and then you get Jared Duran, who's one of my favorite players in baseball. And then you have Rafi still there. And at least if you're a fan and watching the LB team, and if you don't, I'm sure a lot of you know how LB works. But if you're really just watching your team day to day, it's not very national sport. You're watching your division. You at least want to know the players. You get to know them personally. You feel it. You see them at the ballpark every day if you live in Boston. You at least you have some guys that are fun to watch in the rebuild, and you can invest in the team, right? And you invest watching every day or watching as much as you do a long season, and then just for those guys to get traded for prospects and say, "Hey, we're rebuilding, guys." As a fan, I'm looking at we've got the Patriots, we've got the Celtics, the Bruins. Why do I invest my time with the Red Sox? Just because? Why do I show up to the ballpark? And I'm sure a lot of Red Sox fans are asking that question. And look, they expect to win. Boston is a big market. You expect to win. And you're trading talent left, right, center. With really no sight of, hey, we're finally concrete. We're going to want to win. Because right now it doesn't look like ownership wants to win. I'm just going to be honest. It
Yeah.
looks like they do not give a damn about winning.
I don't
Sorry.
know. I don't follow MLB enough to really have a take on that. I just know that there was some tension, to say the least, and between Rafael Devers and Boston and
Well,
him.
and I think it was very clear communication issues.
Yeah.
And not just from Rafi, but from the front office.
Yep.
Um, if you want a YouTube video to watch it in short clips to maybe understand this a little more, I Talk Studios is great with short form MLB content.
I'm
If
pretty
you
sure
ever
I
look at
watched
that.
that video on
Yeah. So if
there.
you want to see that, it's there. Baseball doesn't exist as the long form videos. He's great. Foolish Baseball for stat nerds like me. So that's out there. Um, but yeah, he gets traded. Um, and so he's going to California. And California baseball, man, it's definitely something. You've got the no-name A's. You've got the Giants who have done pretty well this year. You got the Padres, and then you have this team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who they really need some pitching right now. They have their staff ace for the Los Angeles Dodgers, Jake. Tell me if you've heard of this guy or not. They have an ace now. His name is Tommy John because everyone's going down with that injury. Um, everybody. Glass now's hurt. Yamamoto, I believe, is hurt. Sasaki got hurt. Uh, Basically everybody. You're like the Los Angeles Dodgers. The evil empire, the big the modern day New York Yankees. Here they come, and you let them go. Oh, here we go, and then their rotation just decides it's going to fall apart. Um, and you have Shohei Ohtani. You have this guy. I think people have heard of him before. Did some two-way stuff, but he's coming off of Tommy John surgery, and he hasn't pitched yet. Well, he is doing training with live ABs like before games start. So what he'll do is he will throw an AB against his teammates. He'll throw a couple innings, little simulated action. They'll be the most watched simulated ABs before a game in the world. He will then get hot, warm up to get hot, throw 2 innings, come down, and then try to get up and get ready to hit. And they're thinking maybe after the All Star break he comes back. But you have no ace. You look at this, and what does Shohei Ohtani do? The man who is leading the NL in home runs. I think he's leading all of MLB in home runs. insane, stealing bases, doing what he does. What does he decide to do? Hey guys, those live simulated games I've been doing? Why don't I just pitch in a real game for my rehab starts against actual teams? Do I go down the minor leagues like most people do? No, can't do that because I'm a grade A, one of the best hitters in baseball, if not the best. Do I, keep doing what I'm doing? No, I'm just gonna go do my rehab starts. And who's the first one we'll do? We'll just do the San Diego Padres. We'll just do our rivals with Fernando Tatis and Xander Bogarts and Jose. Why can't I think of his name? Um, I'm
Jose
horrible.
Canseco.
No, not Canseco. Dude gets a bunch of hits, played for the Marlins. Anyway, so my brother's going around, so I'm a producer here. But you're facing that team, one of the best teams in the National League that have been better than the Dodgers at some points this year. I'm just gonna have my first start back. Haven't been on the mound in like a year since September of 23. And I'm just gonna do it against them. And what does he do? Well, it's not the best in the world, but he's still coming out and throwing 100. Should have gotten a strikeout against the Dodgers. Threw the ball away a couple times, but he's still getting outs. He struck out two in his next start against the Nationals over um, a couple innings, but basically he's throwing the most anticipated this was one inning, the most anticipated 1 to 2 inning opening start. So he wasn't starting, well, he was an opener, which is a concept used now by certain teams. They'll have a bullpen guy pitch first and then bring a starter in later. So he's doing that and he's still hitting, by the way, and still smoking the baseball. Including the night before he came out to pitch, he hit it back-to-back home runs in back-to-back days because, of course, he did.
Yep.
Of course. Why wouldn't he? That just makes all the sense in the world. Regular. Sorry, we're kidding. There's a whole lot going on here. But yeah, so basically, he did that. And that was interesting. Like I said, he had a little bit of a lack of control. They put his full start out on YouTube. So if you want to see that, he had obviously a lack of control, but he still found a way. You can watch him progress in real time. He misses inside to the third batter of the game. Misses inside with a fastball, way inside. Then with the next one, it's still kind of low, but it's almost right there on the corner. The very next pitch, he paints 97 with movement, and it's looked disgusting. He hasn't been on the mound since September of 23. And he also hits. And he all of a sudden comes up and I'm just going to throw 97 again. Hey, have fun. Got near 100, or I think he hit 100 on one of his first. He didn't have a lot of control. But he's like, I'm just going to, hey, I haven't pitched against a real team forever. I'm just going to come out and throw 97. And hey, while I'm doing it, I'm going to get at the plate. I'm going to go up to the plate. I'm just going to, drive in RBIs. I'm going to get base hits. I'm going to steal bases. You're going to hear me say this, just for clarification. It may get annoying. But you're going to hear me say this a lot this year and reiterate this a lot. And you're going to look back one day and go, I'm glad you and everybody else did. Because it's unexplainable what we're seeing in baseball. As the kids say, and if you don't know what this means, ask your kids at home, if those of you older listening to this. Some say glazing. No, I'm not glazing anybody. This is one of the most insane things I've ever seen. Jake, what do you think about Shohei Ohtani?
I mean, it's just comical. It's comical that he has a rehab start against, a really good MLB team. It just puts him in an entirely different category. But I think we already knew that.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, but it deserves to be reiterated over and over and over again because every
100%.
day he's doing something we've never seen before. I
Yep.
had the pleasure of watching this man, and even for baseball purist nerds like myself and people who even want to coach it, not only does he do that, he is a great human being from all accounts. And I don't want to get here about the gambling stuff. He was acquitted of that, and his interpreter was the one who did that, and I feel bad for him. He was a victim of fraud. I mean, yes, he's still making 700 million and 18 millions like chump change, but this man deferred all of his money so the team could win. Um, he constantly is great to not only the staff but to the bat boys. You see him get instead of waiting on the bat boy to go pick up the bat, sometimes he'll go grab it himself. constantly engaged with teammates. Um, Everyone loves his dog. Like this man's dog got a bobblehead night. He he when he was in Japan, he was making like 3 million a year, and he gave it all to his mom, and he gave himself a $1,000 allowance. He lived in the team dorm. He he's constantly giving stuff away. He's married. He's had his first child, and Dave Roberts. Congratulations, Shohei. He had his first child. I know you're a big fan, but Shohei's listening to this podcast all the time. Obviously, the Picked Off
Oh, I'm
podcast.
sure.
It's Shohei Tiny. He's like, before I throw my pen and before I go hit, I'm gonna, hey, gotta listen to Braden, Neal, and Jake Keating break it down. So shout out to our number one fan, Shohei Ohtani, big time. So he's like, so what am I gonna? So I'm just gonna do all that. And Dave Roberts loves the man so much, he gave his for his little girl like a pink Corvette when she gets older, like the RC remote control car, whatever cars you can drive in. You ever have
Mhm.
one of those, as a kid? He gave
I
him one
think
of
I
those
did. Yeah.
basically. Yeah, give him one of those. Like you cannot say anything bad about the man. Some weird, false, fake allegations that the FBI was under a conspiracy theory to hide his charges because the MLB asked him to. Give me a break.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah,
Long story.
that's it's so people are crazy. Anyway, um, honestly, that's that. The Rockies still suck.
Yeah.
That's the
That's not
best
that
I
won't
can
change.
say. Hey, the Cubs are leading their division.
Dang.
Pete Crow
Playoff
Armstrong,
time.
baby. Have you bought your PCA shirt yet?
I have not. No. I think
You
I'm
gonna
gonna go
buy
to the
that?
Cubs game for my birthday though.
You headed
Later
to
on.
Wrigleyville?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it what? What's the most? What ballparks have you been to in your life?
Been to the Giant Stadium. I've been to Fenway, Wrigleyville, Sox Stadium, the White Sox. Seattle, Kansas City, the Mets. Where else? That might be it. Baltimore.
I've been
Fenway's the coolest.
Fenway's the coolest.
Fenway or San Francisco. Those are the two. I
Which
love
one?
Wrigley. The atmosphere's the best, but like just the visually, like San Francisco or Fenway.
So San Francisco. That's two very interesting parts with their layout. One of them
Oh
being
yeah, they're probably two of the
incredibly
most
deep.
interesting.
Yes. Which one? Which one? Like, if you were playing, which one do you think you'd rather hit in?
San Francisco.
Yeah, because you were a contact guy.
I was a lefty, and there's that triples alley over there. You
Yeah,
know,
I think if I'm definitely wanting to play I'm wanting to play in San Francisco, and yes, triples alley is a thing, but if I've got especially like a lefty up or no sorry a righty up, I guess a lefty. Yeah, if I got a lefty up, but even then, like a righty, especially righties, you can't throw anything inside because, well, yeah, it's pretty short, I guess, and if they don't hit it out, you can, play the ball off the wall, I guess. There's that. I didn't think about that, but I just thought about that in real time. Everybody's going to be pulling everything to right field, and you're just going to, hopefully, try to hit over the green monster. You know what? The more I think about it, I might want to play, with the exception of Pesky's pole, maybe Fenway. Just because, I mean, even Otani, we talked about him. He hit a ball really hard off a wall there. I remember one time when he was with the Angels, and it was only a single because it shows short. But again, if they can get the ball up and pull it up, it's out. If they can somehow manage to get it over the green monster, as they would say
the
in
Green
Boston,
Monster.
Pikey Car. Okay, so yeah, that's that. Really cool. I think that's it. We're gonna have more in the coming weeks. We're gonna talk more OB. We're gonna have some cool interviews lined up. Um, Jake, is there anything else you wanted to mention?
I
Anything?
don't think so. No.
Quick note. Sorry, I just remembered this. Thank God for my notes. Thank God for our new producer. Congratulations to former Ole Miss shortstop Peyton Chatinier on making the Savannah Bananas. They
Did he
announced,
really?
yes, he did.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
Shout out to our boy Peyton Chatinier. He made the Savannah Bananas officially on the roster. congratulations, Peyton, man. What a great guy. Knew him personally and really talented. All of his teammates loved him. Of course, national championship winner, as we talked about. Um, and he's going to fit right in there. He's a hilarious guy. And like I said, really talented. Ladies really love him. I literally watched a girl pass out one time meeting him. That's no exaggeration. She fainted.
That's funny.
And he is taken, by the way. If there's any women listening to this, uh, he is taken. Sorry. But so congratulations to Peyton there. Really happy for him. All right. I think we should be back to somewhat regular dates, maybe on Tuesdays, maybe on Wednesdays. Stay tuned to our socials for that at Picked Off Media. Don't forget to leave us a review if you're on Spotify or Apple. 5 stars. Of course, this will be up video on demand on YouTube. If you're watching live now, thank you. I don't have any chats up, but I will check that. Let's check that one last thing just in case. Um, I'm going to make sure we didn't have any chats or anything like that. We'll make sure the audio's down. Before we get out of here, I'll tell you what, I'll just do that off the. Yeah, we're good. So be sure next time. So we'll put it out on all of our socials. So if you want to see us live, comment something. We'll answer questions on air. We have a producer now, so we can do that. Try not to be as all over the place next episode, but it is kind of what it is if you're here with us at this point. But share this with your friends. Let them know. All of our socials. Stay tuned. And Jake, any last words?
Nope.
All right. Hey, we'll see you next week. And thank you for joining us on the Picked Off Podcast. We will see you later. Bye.
Are we still live on
I
YouTube?
think we're still live. Let me check.
Yeah, it's showing up on my.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let's see if we're live. Cool. If we are live, all right, YouTube. So let's see. Oh. Not Safari. Who uses Safari? Hey, check if we're live.
It's showing up on the top right of my Zoom. It says YouTube.
Okay, perfect. Yep, so we're live. All right, YouTube. We're finna head out here. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to share this with people if you haven't. Let us know if you like this, and if so, we'll do it again next week. And I think we're gonna keep doing this. So let us know. We'll